Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. The Manila Police District Special Mayor's Reaction Team alleged that the viral woman motorist who assaulted a traffic enforcer earlier this week was a drug courier. Recall that a certain Pauline Altamirano was arrested last May 27 after assaulting a traffic enforcer trying to apprehend her for a traffic violation. Let's get more details on this story. We have on the line Police District Police Lieutenant Colonel June Ibay. Sir, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Sir, what is the basis of MPD's claim that Altamirano is a drug courier, and how did we find this out?
At the time he was under arrest, under custody for free violation under 4136 traffic violation. Land transportation law, yung under section 19 for driving without license, saka yung direct assault and disobedience in person of authority under revised penal code. His right is already under Miranda doctrine. So that upon checking his spouse, we recover some suspected crystalline to be suspected as shabu.
Sir, walk us through the operations that you did and how were you able to arrest the other members of the Altamirano drug group?
Yeah, we asked Pauline to coordinate and who is the leader and the cohorts of this group. And he voluntarily surrendered his cell phone, her cell phone. Showed them the conversation to the alleged one Jason de la Cruz. And I quote that Jason asked if the basura was already saw by the police. And he asked Pauline to keep that suspected shabu under his shoes. So through that, we asked Pauline to continue a conversation to the three arrested person.
Sir, with that being said, what was the basis in looking through her phone? Was there a court order to that effect?
No. She voluntarily. She coordinated with us. She voluntarily showed the text messages.
Okay, sir, what would possibly be the effect of this to the arrest of Altamirano and other drug suspects?
So maybe we cut some courier and some drug pusher, particularly in the city of Manila.
Sir, I know this is an ongoing case, and will there be more arrests connected to this incident?
Yeah, we have link analysis for the other personality, but no, we were not divulged the identity of some member of this.
Well, understood. Well, we thank you, sir, for your time. That was Police Lieutenant Colonel June Ibay, Chief of Manila Police District Special Mayor's Reaction Team. The government assures displaced Marawi residents that they can return to the city soon as the National Housing Authority eyes building 2,000 homes by the end of the year. But how is Marawi's year after the siege that left it in ruins? Mobile journalist Andy Gaheta gives us a front seat to the story.
4 years after the Marawi conflict, the worst fighting the country saw since World War II, the only Islamic city in the Philippines still in ruins. Billions of pesos have been committed, including donations from foreign donors like US, EU, and Japan, but the tens of thousands of displaced residents have not yet returned to their homes.
Hinintay ko yung bahay ko. Paano tinapos yung muske? Hindi tinapos yung bahay. Sinong nagsisimba? Sinong dumadaan? Walang tao. Hindi pa naayos yung bahay namin. Sa ground zero, dapat ayusin nyo.
Sana po makauwi na rin kami sa aming mga bahay. Karamihan po ay hindi kami nakakuha ng mga shelter.
Task Force Bangon Marawi Chair Eduardo Del Rosario assures the displaced people can return soon. We are now here in one of the projects of the government, the Pamayandegra residences here in Barangay Mipantao, Gadongan. It's about 1.5 kilometers away from the ground zero. According to the NHA, there are 650 active houses now, but they are targeting to finish 2,000 plus houses by the end of the year. One house costs 650,000 pesos, and this 39-hectare land has a total budget of 900 million pesos. The NTF Bangon Marawi answered allegations on prioritizing some infrastructures like mosques and roads rather than building houses of displaced people.
This is a manifestation of the total commitment of the national, the local government, and the local leaders in Marawi City to ensure that the masjids, about 30 of them were destroyed during the siege, is being given focus by the national government as a way of a very vital component in the Marawi rehabilitation.
Based from Kathanor or IDP profiling of Task Force Bangon Marawi, there are 49,785 displaced families during Marawi siege. Of these, 28,280 families have returned to 72 barangays outside Ground Zero, also called less affected area. However, some displaced people who don't want to be relocated are so eager to go back to rebuild their homes.
Hindi ko talaga in-expect na mangyayari to sa buhay namin. Hindi ko in-expect na yung mga anak ko mararanasan nila yung ganitong buhay. Basta ang masasabi ko lang sa gobyerno, sana tapusin na nila yung gulo, pabalikin na nila kami para hindi na kami nahihirapan.
However, a long processing of documents is waiting.
Alam po natin yung mga hirap na dinadanas ng ating mga constituents with regards to the building of their properties. Kaya lang po, hindi po natin pwedeng i-compromise yung mga ibang necessary documents such as proof of ownership dahil ayaw natin na magkaroon ng problema, ayaw natin na magkaroon ng gulo dito sa pag-claim ng mga properties.
President Rodrigo Duterte's term will end next. The people are asking if they can go back to their homes before he steps down. How will this affect the administration's plan to stay in power beyond 2022? Will the people in Marawi get back to those in power after breaking their promise to rebuild the city during Duterte's time?
There is no turning back, and I would like to assure the Marawi residents that the TFBM, under the leadership of our president, will ensure that we will be here and be with the local government unit, with the city government, with the provincial government, to ensure that the rehabilitation will be completed as promised by the president.
Stanley Gahete, We Are One News.
President Duterte has signed into law the division of Maguindanao into two provinces. Republic Act number 11550 divides the province of Maguindanao in two district and independent provinces known as Maguindanao del Norte and Maguindanao del Sur. The National Police has welcomed the move, saying the division makes it easier to ensure the safety and security in the place, especially since they will appoint two new provincial directors.
Kung hinati natin isang probinsya na dalawa na ngayon nakatutok na yan with the different sets of their staff, different sets of command group. So, mas mapalakas natin ang ating paglilingkod o pagsiservisyo dahil nakatutok na ang dalawa compared dati sa isa. And we welcome this.
Now, here are other stories or top stories we're following across the nation. PNP Chief Guillermo Eleazar says there will be no immediate arrest for barangay captains who failed to prevent mass gatherings in their area. Eleazar said police officers can invite barangay captains for questioning to determine the actions they have taken. He expressed confidence that barangay officials will work harder to prevent mass gatherings after President Duterte's warning. The PNP is also eyeing perjury charges against the police officer involved in the shooting of a teenager during a raid at an illegal cockfight in Valenzuela. Recall that 2 witnesses in the fatal shooting of 18-year-old Edwin Arnigo came forward and said that there was no gun scuffle between the teen and the senior master, Sergeant Christopher Salcedo. This directly disputes the police narrative that the teenager with special needs tried to wrestle a gun out of the cop's hands, leading to a scuffle. Police Chief Guillermo Eleazar says that if what the witness says is true, then there is perjury on the part of Salcedo. And Moderna and AstraZeneca vaccines donated by the United States could arrive in the country as early as June. Mark Lim, the country's diplomacy head in Washington, said that the embassy was already informed that the vaccines may possibly be ready for delivery as early as next month. The donation will be coming from the United States' excess supply of at least 80 million vaccines that it committed to donating to allies and countries in need. The World Health Organization has called on world leaders to support a massive push to vaccinate at least 10% of every country's total population by September. This comes as poor nations continue to receive small amounts of the much-needed jabs. WHO Director Tedros Ghebreyesus tells us more in this video.
As you know, this week is the World Health Assembly, the annual meeting of nations to discuss common health challenges and agree on a common way forward. The range of issues being discussed is immense, from diabetes to malaria, disabilities, oral health, and much, much more. And of course, COVID-19 has been the focus of a lot of discussion. There has been broad consensus this week that equitable access to vaccines is essential for ending the COVID-19 pandemic. With over 3.5 million recorded deaths from COVID-19, an estimated loss of the global economy of $22 trillion and new variants compounding explosive outbreaks, this pandemic is far from over. At the World Health Assembly this week, there has been broad consensus that ensuring equitable access to vaccines is essential for ending the COVID-19 pandemic. In my opening remarks on Monday, I called on world leaders to support a massive push to vaccinate at least 10% of the population of every country by September and 30% by the end of this year. Our sprint to September goal means we must vaccinate at least 250 million more people in low and middle income countries, including all health workers and the most at-risk groups at the first priority. If countries immediately share doses with COVAX and if manufacturers prioritize COVAX, we can reach this target and save a lot of lives. Ultimately, the fastest way to bring this pandemic to an end is to dramatically increase global manufacturing of vaccines, tests, treatments, and other medical supplies, and ensure equitable access. We welcome the interest expressed by several diagnostic manufacturers who are already in advanced discussions with CTAP to share their technology, and also from research institutions who are willing to share their knowledge through CTAP. But we need more developers to come forward and share life-saving tools so that we can ramp up production and expand access. Once agreements are signed, CTAP will support companies in the management of signed agreements for effective implementation and provide technical assistance to countries when needed. Once fully functional, CTAP assisting in the expansion of manufacturing could provide increased supply for countries and COVAX.
And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later at 12 noon as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Riza Diaz. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.